You got to go down to Lubbock,
Mm-hmm.
and then we go back to our Perryton storm. I'm going to check on that one because I think probably a new image has come in. Okay, so here, what we're looking at, see now we've extended really into town. So if you're in Perryton, you know this already. You've got some hail here. Now, how long is it going to last? It could be as much as 5 to 10 minutes of this large stuff before that moves on, and that is going to
It's been a fairly
possibly do some damage.
fairly slowly moving storm.
Yeah, it really has. Years ago, I learned an interesting thing. We always say, well, it's moving south or moving east or whatever, but storms, many cases, don't really move, they develop. And so you've got an updraft, and then out ahead of it, a new updraft, and a new updraft, and a new updraft. And that's what we've seen kind of interestingly the last couple of days. These storms have not necessarily moved in a straight line or as predictably as we might like.
Yeah.
It's because new updrafts are going on the side or behind or in an angle.
Could be going north and it shifts to like northeast or east.
And that's right, and they jump around, so they're kind of hard to forecast. But in Perryton, this is obviously coming through with some predictability on its track. Now, in here, we do see some velocities that suggest rotation. The Weather Service, have they indicated they've got anybody on this storm looking, any chasers?
The unofficial reports, but that's really about it. They got some spotters out.
I'm going to grab my phone and do something. I'm going to see what we can see if Twitter's going on. If you're on Twitter, and you don't know this, if you're a weather fan, you probably do know this, but if you're on Twitter, it's a pretty generally accepted format to use the hashtag with 2-letter state identifier and WX. So there are obviously chasers on these, or most of them. So if we go TX, WX, hashtag, we search that, and we'll check the latest tab here, and maybe we can get some idea of, maybe we get some pictures from some of the chasers. Here's one from just 2 minutes ago. That's a different location, Motley County. I'm just going to scroll through for a minute as we watch this. Basically what we're here for is this broad area of hail. And then on the right-hand side, the green and red, there's clearly definite rotation there. The Weather Service has not given us any indication that it's a tornado at this point. But this will be hard for you to see on the stream, but right here, we've got a 30-mile-an-hour inbound, meaning toward the radar, and then about 25, just shy of 30 outbound. And so that's not a strong rotation, but it is enough to certainly be concerned about. There's probably a big shelf cloud on that thing, which is what you saw on the storm last week.
Yes,
right? The
indeed.
leading edge of that. Talk about the difference between a shelf cloud and a wall cloud. We can do that by saying the leading edge of that is the shelf. The cold air is coming out from the thunderstorm and rising. The water vapor in the air cools and condenses and creates that sort of shelf. That's what we were seeing the other day. That storm never did produce a tornado. And I don't know if this one is or not, but the shelf cloud was quite pronounced. And I saw a number of people saying, "Oh, there's a lowering. It's a wall cloud." And it was a shelf cloud. It
Right.
wasn't in the right place.
Easy to get the two mixed
Now,
up.
out of a shelf cloud, and there's all kinds of qualifications on these things, but out of a shelf cloud, you can get what's called a gustnado. Right. A little spin up there. That would spin and maybe, reach down to the ground and touch it. But those are generally not dangerous and not very long-lived. Okay, so let me get rid of the analysis tool here and put it into motion here. So basically what we've got, and we'll stay on this stream. On TV, I think we're okay since we told people that it was there, but we'll stay with the stream for a couple of minutes here. Intensity of this one. When you have a strong thunderstorm cell move across a particular area, it's going to do what we call rake it over. It's going to that's cold air and rain coming down, and that's going to stabilize the atmosphere a little bit. So it's harder for other cells, since they don't have that uninterrupted, warm, moist, humid air to work with, to intensify. They can still be strong and still put down a little bit of small hail. So you can see back up toward Hooker on the radar scope there. We've got hail that's just come through there. That will continue southeastward, maybe toward Perryton. But again, I don't think it's going to be of the same degree that we saw here. Yeah, looking at the velocity product, it's very windy and gusty and chaotic with regard to direction, but there isn't a lot of organization on that thunderstorm that would suggest that it is going to try and do some sort of a hook which is good news as it goes through Perry. We
Hey,
will, go ahead.
No, we got some in the chat. Not a preliminary spotter report. I think this is storm 2 miles southwest of Perryton, rotating wall cloud.
Okay, so and the National Weather Service, and we have that closed system where we can ask them questions, they can tell us things that they see. They sort of act as a collection agent for a lot of different information and put it back out. And so what they're doing now is giving us a storm report. Somebody reported there was a wall cloud rotating.
Yeah.
Yeah, rotating wall cloud there. So that does verify with what we're seeing. It's not a tight rotation. Let me stop this from animating right there. Okay, see now it's more chaotic looking. Ideally, in a bad way, for a tornado, what you want to see is areas of, let me draw it right here. Oop, this pen doesn't let me. Increasingly bright green from here to here where it meets the red, and increasingly bright red to a point where they meet. And those little pixels right there would be what we call gate-to-gate shear. If it's really tight and really bright in that area, then you could say, okay, we've got raindrops and wind moving X miles per hour toward the radar site, X miles per hour right next to those, and that's how you interpret the rotation in the tornado. Getting some pictures from Doug Black too. I'm trying to show those on the news tonight at 10. Yeah, so I mean, this is it. It's happening in Perryton right now. There is clearly some hail going through. Why don't you?
All right, will do.
Okay, so we're streaming NewsChannel 10 properties, Facebook, I assume, and our website and our app, because we've got a strong thunderstorm cell with some damaging hail, maybe up to tennis ball size hail, going through Perryton right now. That cell has to come southward out of the Oklahoma Panhandle, and it's there. It's going. It's going to go for another probably 10 minutes or so in town before it moves to the southeast of town. We did get a report of a rotating wall cloud. It's unconfirmed. This setup does show some chaotic rotation in the velocity product, that red and green product there, but not real well organized, such that it has a good chance of producing a tornado, or a likely chance of producing a tornado. So good news there, but that hail, I'm afraid that's going to be doing some damage in Perryton right now. We'll give it another 5 to 10 minutes tops and let it get past town, and we'll probably take a break, get through some analysis, but I want to look south of there and see where that could go. So it would probably travel down 83, Highway 83, yeah, Highway 83 out of Perryton. Please don't travel there. That would be heading from Perryton to Canadian, or maybe from Perryton to Pampa. So don't go toward Perryton from either of those places at this point, because we've got a very strong thunderstorm doing some likely large hail damage in that area. And same report. Oh, that's the other cell.
Yeah.
Howard, go ahead and tell us. I'll move down there.
Yes, so not as big of hail with this. Hail measured with a ruler, so this is an official report. 1.25 inches, that's about, what, a $50 size?
Okay, yep.
Lying along Highway 70.
So that's the cell he's talking about. Now, there's good news on that one, right? It missed Howardwick. It's now south of 40. 40 is that blue line where it says McLean and Allen Reed. And you see the amount of purple decreasing, suggesting that that storm, well, let me go back to our three-body scatter spike discussion in a minute, but suggesting that storm is weakening a little bit, which is good news. What that means at this moment is that it is dumping its hail. Thankfully, out in open country, it looks like it will stay to the north of Headley, and maybe thread the needle if it holds together between Headley and Quail. But since we've got time and the hail's over Perryton, all right, let's go back a little bit. We're gonna get deep into the weeds of the meteorology here. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Here is our three-body scatter spike. Right?
Yep.
Okay, so the purple there's a lot of large hail in that thunderstorm cell. Now, as we go forward, I'll turn this off. Watch the scatter spike start to disappear. It's shorter. It's pretty much
Eventually.
gone there, which means that hail has fallen out of the storm. What do we got?
I got some reports from, should have some. Yep, here we go. All right, so he said he's calling right now.
Yeah, he's calling right now.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
so should have some live information from the Perryton Police Department here in the coming minutes about the hail in Perryton.
Okay, so so the good news is the hail is falling out of that storm. Draw on here again. Now what we watch from here is the leading edge of that is cold air. You ever stood in front of a thunderstorm and you get that blast
Yeah, you
of
can
cold air?
feel it just like whip you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that cold air is doing a couple of things. Cooler air is not as much fuel for a thunderstorm, but it's also undercutting the warm, moist, humid air out ahead of it. So it's sliding under, and that will create the lift. It'll set that warmer air rising, and so that's what can create some new thunderstorm cells, or even a cell right close to this one.
Mhm.
And that's why we've seen these ones that are jumping around. They sort of build on the outflow,
Yeah.
and they jump around, and a new updraft happens. So that image right there is 7:24 p.m. And the Weather Service is spinning that radar for us. We get a new picture in every couple of minutes. And yeah, I think that's going to turn into a little bit more of a bow echo as far as little wind gusts. So in Headley and Quail, yeah, you're maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes at the outside from a little gust of wind. But clearly the hail is falling out of that one in open country, which is good news. All right. Oops.
Couple things in the chat here.
Pen does not like me. Go.
If we want to go back up to that Perryton storm, it's just, the chat is lighting up with multiple reports of golf to tennis ball sized hail with that one. It is sticking around for a good bit. They're actually going to likely a new warning coming out here in a little bit
Okay.
for
very
that
good,
storm.
thanks. Yeah. So here's the edge of the warning polygon
Mhm.
right here, and that's obviously going to need to be extended, which
Mhm.
is what the Weather Service was talking about right here. In fact, let's get the text on it. I don't expect you at home to be able to read this, but that was the severe thunderstorm warning that was issued. Let's try that again. That was issued at 7:13.
Yeah. They've officially just come out with a new one.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, wind isn't a major factor with this one. Looks like
Right.
wind gusts under 50 miles an hour,
Yep,
but
good.
hail's still about the same size.
Okay, well, let's pan out, and we're going to wait for that new box to come. So
All right.
they've issued it.
Yeah.
Severe thunderstorm warning. Yep, Lipscomb, Ochiltree County. It's going to go until 8:30. We'll
And
see.
it says 2.5 inches. It says observed in the chat, so multiple people have seen it, so it is confirmed
Tennis ball size
instead
hail
of
Perry.
radar indicated.
Hey, Serge, and where's Jordan too? Whatever we get from calling up there, I mean, there's going to be some damage with tennis balls, so it
Mhm.
might be worth some discussion with the news folks about having somebody go up there and get some video.
Barrington?
If there is damage, confirmed by the law enforcement. So that's going to be
And it's 2 hours away.
that's going to be pretty dramatic. Okay, there's the new box, right? There's the new warning polygon.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and click on that, and we'll just read it because we got time to do that here as opposed to like on TV.
Sounds good.
So it's issued at 7:30. Severe thunderstorm warning, Lipscomb County and Ochiltree County. It's in effect until 8:30, which is an hour from now. We'll
Mhm.
see if it holds together that long.
Assuming it does, like I said, it's been moving so slow to where if it does hold together, it's going to last for an hour.
Yep. Severe thunderstorm was located over Perryton, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. Tennis ball size hail. That was reported by a trained weather spotter.
Mm-hmm.
Just again from the text of the warning, people, animals outdoors will be injured. Please, I hope all the people in Perryton brought in the dogs in addition to the cars.
Mhm.
Expect damage to roofs, siding, windows, vehicles as well. I mean, a tennis ball size piece of hail will go through a windshield.
Yeah, that is heavy. Like,
Yeah, and that went right over town. So Perryton, Wolf Creek Park, and that's about the end of that advisory.
mhm.
So we'll plan to stay on here for just a minute or two more until it gets out of Perryton, and then we'll watch it. Let me run that in motion for you. I think it's going to try and develop due south now as opposed to southeast. So that's good news for Lipscomb. You are officially in the warning. Canadian, you are not in the warning, but also good news for you. This will be something to watch too. See now south of Spearman, and I've got pen likes me a little more. These are not severe at all, but they're clearly on a collision course with each other.
Yeah.
That is actually sometimes good news with regard to the safety aspect from a storm, because This one is, the Perryton storm is operating basically uninterrupted. We've got warm, moist, unstable air flowing into that thing. When we get another thunderstorm that interrupts the path, that will disrupt some of the organization a little bit. So that is good news, and so that's still, gosh, I'd say that's 20 minutes away or more from intersecting each other, but maybe it could offer enough disruption to kind of weaken that storm.
Mhm.
So our plan for the streaming folks is we'll let this get out of Perryton. We're going to continue to check with the news department, and they will check with law enforcement in that area. If we need to come back on the stream, we will.
Yeah,
But
and
we'll watch that storm. Yes,
Couple,
sir.
just a couple Facebook comments here. Just somebody asking about Amarillo. Are we getting any in Amarillo soon? Probably not. Amarillo's a bit on the clear side right now.
Yep, let's go there.
You can see that boundary a good bit northwest
Yeah, we
of
can do
us.
a little meteorology here.
Mhm.
Let me get rid of the dual pane. Okay, this is kind of cool stuff, actually. Oh,
Yep.
I'm moving the thing. Okay. That snaky line right here, we call an outflow vector. And it's like a little miniature cold front. And it's been moving northwestward. If you were with us for the, was it the 5 or the 6 o'clock news, we had that hanging dark cloud over Amarillo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's happening here is that boundary you can see is moving generally west or west-northwest. There's cooler air behind that, and it is sliding under
I'm kind of like,
warmer air that's out here and creating lift.
yeah.
And we had some new thunderstorms develop, but now we've gotten closer to sunset, and the air is a little bit more stable. And so as that boundary moved on past Amarillo, we didn't see much in the way of new cloud development. There's just some raggedy clouds there. All of that is to say to the person who asked in Amarillo, I think we're fine for right now. And I really don't expect any new development in and around Amarillo this evening. Tomorrow's going to be a little different story in that I think we'll have another line of thunderstorms develop. We have more comments?
That actually answered the other question. Are we getting any rain tomorrow night? So
Yeah.
tomorrow, likely a little bit more in the widespread form
Let's
of some coverage.
switch over to Max, and Brady's going to help me. That's Max, and there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our Perryton storm. Okay, this is just a different display, but I'm going to get away from this and show you. We saw the purple go through town. Now we're going down 83 toward Wolf Creek Park. Now I'm going to get to the forecast model. Okay. Here is one of our models. This is 7 p.m. tonight. Now, it's not exact. It's a computer forecast model. It's a guess. But that line of storms will continue and already has. In fact, we'll show you the radar from this machine in just a minute. Has already moved toward the eastern ports of the panhandle. Those storms will weaken. This is 10 o'clock tonight. Now we are at 7 o'clock in the morning. So partly to mostly sunny skies, no rainfall. We go through lunchtime and we're okay. And now at 2 o'clock, look up near Clayton and into New Mexico, southwest of Tucumcari. Those are the new cells that develop mid-afternoon tomorrow. Now watch those increase in coverage and start to fill in. Here's 5 o'clock right here. It's sort of a broken line. Now it's trying to connect by 6 o'clock right here. And then by 6 to 7 p.m. and 8 p.m., now we're over Amarillo, and then northward along 287 toward Dumas. This is not radar, this is forecast radar. And then a cluster east of 27, east of Tool, Plainview, south of Clarendon on toward Childress. And now by 8 or 9 o'clock, these have started to weaken, except for Childress and Paducah.
If you don't mind, Kevin.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about the kind of shape of these storms is going to be really important because you see kind of right there, it's trying to form a line. If it is more of a linear setup, that does decrease that tornado risk a good bit because, you know, all those cells in that kind of line are competing almost for...
Yes, a cell by itself, like this one that's gone through Perryton,
Yeah.
doesn't have to compete for moisture. And that's what we're talking about with these other ones trying to come through here. If that can disrupt that, that would certainly be helpful.
Right.
But we've got another hail spike right there. That's south of town now. So again, we'll go another couple minutes on the stream, and then once it's out open country, we'll take a break and come back when we need to. So the news department is checking on
We'll come back
with
on
law
camera.
enforcement in and around Perry. And we'll go back to on our other radar product.
All right, and that just got word from the chat. That warning in Donley County, it's going to expire here in about 7 minutes.
That's our other cell.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay.
it's
good.
oh yeah, it's weakening a good bit.
Check on that. Yeah. So we talked about the hail spike. It dumped its hail, and now it's probably dealing with some cooler air. So you'll get a little rain maybe near and east of Headley or in between Headley and Quail. So that cell, if you're in that area, Headley and Quail, this severe thunderstorm warning, the yellow box will not be reissued, and that cell will probably just rain itself out and keep going on. Okay, one more check. I think we're out of Perryton now. The hail is done. If you were in and listening, I think if you're in Perryton and you've been listening, let's give it 5 more minutes before you come out. Sometimes these hailstones can come out of these things at weird angles. So let's give it out 5 more minutes before we come out and start looking around. Once you do, it's probably going to be a little cooler. I want a jacket. Sturdy shoes. I know it's home, you're in your bare feet, it's been warm, or your flip-flops. Don't do that because you don't know what has been blown around. Some trees down, shingles could be off the roof, something's broken somewhere. You don't want to be walking around without some sturdy shoes around the area. So a real good idea there. But let's give it 5 more minutes. And I don't want to call all clear. We'll say temporarily safe if you need to go out and look around, because we've got some other cells that are just off to the northwest. There's one near Hardesty, not quite as violent, but still the potential for some hail there. And so those are going to continue to drop or develop in a southeasterly direction. So Perryton, you are not necessarily done. There could be another round. If you are going to go outside, look off to the northwest, especially after another 10, 15 minutes, and another couple cells will come on. And if we feel like we need to, we'll come back and get on the stream. So very large hail, tennis ball size hail, has gone through Perryton. We are checking on that. The rest of the region looks pretty quiet at this moment. All the other cells are continuing to weaken. And so I think we're done, not necessarily with an isolated shower here or there for the next couple of hours, but most of us will stay dry. We'll start to gear up and continue our first alert day for tomorrow. So for Tanner Brammer and everybody else here in the newsroom and production, thank you for joining us for the stream. Stick around and we will let you know if we need to come back. But again, some heavy hail has moved through Perryton and we are searching, efforting some information on that. Thanks for staying with us.